A Connecticut gun owner just got arrested for buying firearms the right way, or so he thought. He's now facing 15 years in federal prison and a $250,000 fine. The ATF says he violated rules he didn't even know existed. Today I'm breaking down 10 ATF rules that could cost you $10,000 in fines, your freedom, or your right to own guns forever. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to stay compliant and avoid the mistakes that are landing law-abiding gun owners in federal court right now. In fiscal year 2024 alone, the ATF conducted nearly 10,000 dealer inspections and found violations that resulted in massive fines and license revocations. But here's what shocked me. Most of these violations were made by people who thought they were following the law. These aren't criminals. These are gun owners just like you. Let's make sure you're not next. Number 1. Making a false statement on Form 4473 when you buy a gun. You're at your local gun store filling out the paperwork to buy a new firearm. Question 11C asks if you're under indictment or have been convicted of a felony. You had a DUI 20 years ago, but you're not sure if that counts, so you check no just to be safe. Or maybe you're buying a gun as a gift for your son, but you put your name down as the actual buyer because you're the one paying. These seem like innocent mistakes, right? Wrong. Under federal law, any knowingly false statement on Form 4473 is a federal felony. Here's what you're facing: up to 10 years in federal prison and fines up to $250,000. That's $250,000. And here's the devastating part. This applies even if the gun transfer never goes through. Even if the dealer catches the error and stops the sale, you can still be prosecuted for making the false statement. Here's how to stay safe. First, if you're unsure about any question on Form 4473, stop. Ask the dealer to clarify before you answer. They'd rather help you get it right than see you face federal charges. Second, if you're buying a gun as a gift, you are the actual buyer. That's legal. But if someone gives you money to buy a gun for them, that's a straw purchase, which we'll cover next. Third, be completely honest about your criminal history. If you're not sure if an old conviction counts, consult a firearms attorney before you ever walk into a gun store. It's worth the $200 consultation fee to avoid a $250,000 fine. But speaking of straw purchases, number 2 is where I see the most arrests happen, and it's happening to people who think they're just helping out a family member. Number 2. Buying a gun for someone else who can't legally own one. Your buddy asks you to buy him a gun because he doesn't want to wait for the background check. Or your nephew wants a pistol, but he's only 19, so you offer to buy it and gift it to him. You're thinking, I'm legally allowed to own guns, so what's the harm? Here's the harm. You just committed a federal straw purchase. This is when you knowingly buy a firearm for someone who is prohibited from owning one, or when someone gives you money to buy a gun on their behalf. The ATF is cracking down hard on this. Just last December 2024, a Connecticut man was arrested for purchasing over 30 guns in straw purchases. He's facing up to 15 years in federal prison and a $250,000 fine. But here's where it gets worse. If that gun you bought is used in a felony, terrorism, or drug trafficking, you're looking at up to 25 years in prison. Your life is over. Here's the rule. Never buy a gun for someone else unless it's a legitimate gift where you're using your own money and the recipient is legally allowed to own firearms. If your buddy reimburses you, that's not a gift. That's a straw purchase. If your nephew is under 21 and wants a handgun, he needs to wait or buy from a private seller in states where that's legal. And if someone is prohibited from owning guns, felons, domestic violence offenders, people with restraining orders, you cannot buy them a gun under any circumstances, period. Now, straw purchases are bad. But number 3 is a mistake that thousands of gun owners make every single day without realizing they're committing a felony. Number 3. Owning or creating a short barrel rifle or shotgun without proper registration. You decide to modify your AR-15 by putting on a shorter barrel because it's easier to maneuver. Or you cut down your shotgun barrel for home defense. You think, it's my gun, I can modify it however I want. But the moment that rifle barrel drops below 16 inches, or that shotgun barrel goes under 18 inches, or the overall length of either gun is less than 26 inches, you've just created an NFA item, a National Firearms Act item, that requires federal registration, a $200 tax stamp, and ATF approval. Without that registration, you're in possession of an illegal weapon. This is a federal felony carrying up to 10 years in federal prison, fines up to $250,000, and immediate forfeiture of the firearm. You'll have a permanent criminal record and lose your right to own any guns forever. The ATF doesn't care if you didn't know the law. Ignorance is not a defense. Here's what you need to do. First, before you modify any rifle or shotgun, measure twice. A rifle barrel must be at least 16 inches from the closed bolt to the end of the barrel. A shotgun barrel must be at least 18 inches. Overall length for both must be at least 26 inches. Second, if you want a short barrel rifle or shotgun, you must file ATF Form 1, pay the $200 tax stamp, wait for approval, which can take months, and only then can you build or modify your gun. Third, if you're buying a pistol with a brace, be aware that ATF rules on braces are still being challenged in court as of 2025, so consult current regulations before you buy. Modifying your own guns is risky, but number 4 is about buying guns, and this mistake could land you in prison even if you're trying to follow the rules. Number 4. Buying or selling guns across state lines without going through a licensed dealer. You're visiting family in another state and your brother-in-law offers to sell you his hunting rifle. You pay him cash, take the gun home, and think nothing of it. Or maybe you're moving to a new state and you give your nephew a shotgun before you leave. These seem like simple private transactions between family members, right? Wrong. Any firearm transfer across state lines, whether it's a sale, trade, or gift, must go through a federal firearms licensed dealer in both states. Violating interstate transfer laws is a federal felony punishable by up to 10 years in federal prison and fines up to $250,000. The ATF considers this a serious violation because it bypasses the background check system designed to keep guns out of prohibited persons' hands. Even if both parties are legally allowed to own guns, the transfer is still illegal without an FFL. Here's the legal way to do it. First, if you're buying a gun from someone in another state, that person must ship the gun to an FFL dealer in your state. You then go to that dealer, fill out Form 4473, pass a background check, and take possession. Second, if you're giving a gun to someone in another state, you must ship it to an FFL in their state, and they must complete the background check. Third, if you're moving to a new state, you can take your own guns with you. That's legal because you're not transferring ownership, but you cannot give or sell guns to residents of your new state without going through an FFL. Now, those first 4 rules apply to most gun owners. But number 5 is a career-ending mistake that's happening to people who don't even realize they're prohibited. Number 5. Possessing a gun when you're legally prohibited from owning one. You had a misdemeanor domestic violence conviction 15 years ago. It was a minor incident. You paid a small fine, and you moved on with your life. Now you want to buy a gun for home defense. Or maybe you have an active restraining order from an ex-spouse, but it's just a civil matter, no criminal charges. You think, I'm not a felon, so I can own guns. But under federal law, both of these situations permanently prohibit you from owning firearms. The Lautenberg Amendment, 18 U.S.C. 922 G. 9, makes it a federal crime for anyone convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence to possess guns, even if it happened decades ago. If you're caught with a gun as a prohibited person, you're facing up to 15 years in federal prison and fines up to $250,000. That's more than many felonies. And if you have a domestic violence restraining order, federal law prohibits gun possession even without a criminal conviction. Your Second Amendment rights are gone. Here's what you must do. First, if you have any criminal history, even misdemeanors, consult a firearms attorney before you buy a gun. Some convictions can be expunged or set aside, which may restore your rights. Second, if you have a restraining order, you cannot possess guns while it's active. Period. Turn them over to law enforcement or a family member who can legally own them. Third, if you're unsure about your status, request a NICS background check determination from the FBI before you attempt to buy a gun. It's better to find out you're prohibited before you commit a felony. Being prohibited is devastating, but number 6 affects gun dealers. And if you ever sell more than a couple guns, you need to know this rule or face massive fines. You've been collecting guns for years, and now you want to downsize your collection. You sell 5 guns at a gun show over a weekend. Or maybe you buy guns at estate sales and flip them online for profit. You think, I'm just a private seller, I don't need a license. But here's the problem. If you're buying and selling guns with the intent to make a profit, or if you're doing it regularly and repetitively, the ATF considers you engaged in the business as a firearms dealer. And that requires a federal firearms license. Operating as an unlicensed dealer is a federal felony punishable by up to 5 years in federal prison and fines up to $250,000. The ATF has been cracking down hard on this, especially at gun shows and online marketplaces. In 2024, the ATF expanded the definition of engaged in the business to include people who sell even a small number of guns if there's evidence of profit motive. Here's how to stay legal. First, if you're selling guns from your personal collection occasionally, like 1 or 2 guns a year, you're generally okay as a private seller in most states. But if you're buying guns with the intent to resell them for profit, you need an FFL. Second, keep records of every gun you sell, including the buyer's information and a bill of sale. This proves you're not running an unlicensed business. Third, if you're unsure whether your activity requires a license, consult the ATF or a firearms attorney. The new 2024 rule says even one sale can trigger licensing requirements if there's evidence you're in the business. Now, if you think regular guns are complicated, number 7 is about NFA items, and the penalties for getting this wrong are absolutely devastating. Number 7. Failing to properly register NFA items like suppressors, machine guns, or short-barrel rifles. You inherit your grandfather's gun collection and discover he owned a suppressor. You think, great, free suppressor, and you take it home. Or maybe you buy a suppressor online, pay for it, and start using it while you're waiting for your tax stamp to be approved. Or perhaps you find a pre-1986 machine gun at an estate sale and buy it without checking registration. All of these scenarios are federal felonies. Every NFA item, suppressors, short-barrel rifles, short-barrel shotguns, machine guns, destructive devices, and AOWs, must be registered with the ATF on the National Firearms Registration and Transfer Record. Possession of an unregistered NFA item carries up to 10 years in federal prison, fines up to $250,000, and forfeiture of the item. The ATF does not mess around with NFA violations. Even if you inherited the item and had no idea it needed registration, you're still guilty. Ignorance is not a defense in federal court. Here's what you must do. First, if you inherit NFA items, contact a firearms attorney immediately before you take possession. The items must be transferred to you using ATF Form 5 for tax-exempt transfers or Form 4 for taxable transfers. Second, if you're buying a suppressor or building an SBR, you must file the appropriate form, pay the $200 tax stamp, and wait for approval before you take possession or build the item. Third, never buy NFA items from private sellers without verifying registration. Demand to see the tax stamp and transfer paperwork. If they can't provide it, walk away. That item is illegal. NFA items require registration. But number 8 is about modifications that turn legal guns into illegal weapons overnight. Number 8. Making illegal modifications that convert firearms into prohibited weapons. You install a bump stock on your AR-15 to increase the rate of fire. Or you buy an auto-sear online to convert your Glock into a machine gun. Or maybe you drill a third hole in your AR lower receiver because you saw a video on YouTube. You think, it's my gun, I can modify it however I want. But certain modifications are federal felonies that instantly convert your legal firearm into an illegal weapon under the National Firearms Act and Gun Control Act. Possessing a machine gun manufactured after May 19, 1986 is a federal felony carrying up to 10 years in prison and $250,000 in fines. Bump stocks were banned by the ATF in 2019, and possession is also a federal felony. Auto-sears, lightning links, and drop-in auto-sears are all classified as machine guns themselves, even without a firearm attached. You're looking at a decade in federal prison. Here's how to stay legal. First, never install any device designed to increase the rate of fire to simulate automatic fire. This includes bump stocks, binary triggers in some jurisdictions, and forced reset triggers depending on current ATF rulings. Second, never drill holes or make modifications to the fire control group that could allow full auto fire. Even if you don't install the auto-sear, drilling the hole can be considered intent to manufacture a machine gun. Third, stay updated on ATF rulings. The ATF frequently issues new determinations on what modifications are legal. What was legal last year might be illegal today. Fourth, if you own any questionable modifications, consult a firearms attorney immediately to determine if you need to remove them or surrender them. Modifications can destroy your life. But number 9 is a paperwork mistake that's sending private sellers to prison. Number 9. failing to keep proper records of firearm transactions when required by law. You're an FFL dealer and you get busy during a gun show. You sell 10 guns, but forget to log a couple of them in your bound book until the next week. Or maybe you're a private seller who sells a gun to your neighbor and you don't bother getting a bill of sale because you trust him. Or perhaps you're required to report multiple handgun sales to ATF, but you forget because you're not used to the paperwork. These seem like minor administrative oversights, but under federal law, FFLs must maintain detailed records of every firearm transaction, and failure to do so is a federal violation that can cost you everything. For FFLs, willful record-keeping violations can result in license revocation, fines up to $250,000, and up to 5 years in federal prison. The ATF conducts regular compliance inspections, and record-keeping violations are the #1 reason FFLs lose their licenses. Even unintentional errors can result in warning letters, fines, and increased scrutiny. For private sellers in states requiring documentation, failure to keep records can be used as evidence you're engaged in the business without a license. Here's what you need to do. First, if you're an FFL, log every single transaction in your bound book immediately, no exceptions. Don't wait until the end of the day or the end of the gun show. Second, file required reports to ATF on time. This includes multiple handgun sales within 5 business days and theft or loss reports within 48 hours. Third, even if you're a private seller not required to keep records, create a bill of sale for every transaction with the buyer's name, address, date, firearm description, and serial number. This protects you if that gun is later used in a crime. Record keeping protects you. But number 10 is the final rule that most gun owners have no idea even exists. Number 10. Possessing armor-piercing ammunition without proper authorization. You're at a gun show and you see a vendor selling green tip 5.56 ammunition. You buy a few boxes because it's cheaper than regular ammo. Or maybe you find some old military surplus ammunition in your grandfather's collection that has steel core projectiles. You think, it's just ammo, what's the big deal? But under federal law, armor-piercing ammunition is strictly regulated. Manufacturing, importing, or possessing armor-piercing ammunition is illegal unless you're law enforcement, military, or have specific ATF authorization. Possession of armor-piercing ammunition with intent to use in a handgun is a federal felony carrying up to 5 years in prison and fines up to $250,000. If you use armor-piercing ammunition in the commission of a crime, penalties increase dramatically. The ATF defines armor-piercing as projectiles constructed entirely from specific hard metals or having a jacket weighing more than 25% of total projectile weight. Here's how to stay safe. First, understand that green tip M855 ammunition is not classified as armor-piercing for rifles. It's legal to own and shoot. But if you have a pistol chambered in 5.56, possession of an M855 could be problematic. Second, avoid buying military surplus ammunition unless you can verify it's not armor-piercing. Steel core, tungsten core, and certain other materials trigger the armor-piercing definition. Third, if you inherit ammunition and you're unsure of its composition, contact local law enforcement or an FFL dealer to help you identify it. Don't risk a federal felony over a box of old ammo. Fourth, never load armor-piercing ammunition into a handgun. That's when possession becomes a clear federal violation. Those are the 10 ATF rules that could cost you everything. Let's recap so you never forget them. Number 1. Form 4473 false statements. Any lie on the form is a felony worth 10 years and $250,000. Number 2. Straw purchases. Buying guns for prohibited persons gets you 15 years in federal prison. Number 3. Short barrel violations. Rifles under 16 inches and shotguns under 18 inches require NFA registration. Number 4. Interstate transfers. All sales across state lines must go through an FFL dealer. Number 5. Prohibited persons. Domestic violence convictions and restraining orders permanently ban gun ownership. Number 6. Unlicensed dealing. Selling guns for profit requires a federal firearms license. Number 7. NFA registration. Suppressors, SBRs, and machine guns must be registered with ATF. Number 8. Illegal modifications. Bump stocks and auto sears are federal felonies. Number 9. Record-keeping failures. FFLs must log every transaction immediately or lose their license. Number 10. Armor-piercing ammo. Possession with intent to use in handguns is a federal crime. Any one of these mistakes could cost you $250,000 in fines, 15 years in federal prison, or your right to own guns forever. The ATF is not forgiving, and ignorance of the law is not a defense in federal court. Don't let confusion about ATF regulations put you at risk. Subscribe to Guns Law Guide so you never miss an update that could keep you legal and protected. I break down complex federal gun laws every single week so you can own and carry firearms with complete confidence.